Hello everyone, Skyler here with the amazing, recently featured in New York Times, Hera Hub founder Felena and we are here today to have a really needed discussion for all of our entrepreneurs out there and our members regarding money and our attachment to it. And this conversation really came about. Myself and another co-working Hera Hub member sat down with Felena and we were really trying to pick her brain regarding if you're not making enough money as an entrepreneur, what do? You know, should you leave your business or do you go back to a traditional 9-to-5? And it really kind of brought up the discussion, why are you so attached to money? So you crave a structure that pays you every 2 weeks, but really why? And Felena, you shared a really amazing story, very candidly, that I think really kind of changed my perception of the way I've been thinking about money. Mm-hmm. And you shared a story about how you invested $150,000 of your own money in your ex-husband's business, mm-hmm. which flopped, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
But the way you said it was, I lost $150,000. I need to get more money. So matter-of-factly. For some people, that would be like, devastation, right? And this idea that it's just money.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So number one, I learned a ton from that. And ultimately, interestingly enough, of course, there's always a silver lining in everything. Yes. So his business was, and I think part of the reason for the failure, so let me just cover that real briefly, he was very scattered in his business. He was also an artist and not a business person. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to manage some of the business side of the business mm-hmm. while I had a full-time job to mm-hmm. support us. And just to be overly candid, the money that I invested was from my car accident. Mm-hmm. And so I had the money to invest mm-hmm. and I believed in him. We were recently married. Mm-hmm. He went through that car accident experience with me, mm-hmm. meaning he stayed by my side mm-hmm. and got me back to health, so to speak. So I felt like I really honestly owed him mm-hmm. that, so to speak. And so he had a surfboard manufacturing business, a surf apparel business, and also was filming documentary surf movies. Mm-hmm. Really, really cool, fun industries. But I think the biggest challenge is his lack of focus. Mm-hmm. He had his hands in all kinds of different pies, and that's a true entrepreneurial defect sometimes mm-hmm. in that if you're not focused on one business, you're going to have a hard time succeeding. Mm-hmm. So I learned a ton from that, and what ended up happening is I got an opportunity to teach at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising a number of years later, partially because I had some experience in apparel manufacturing, and I had here's what not to do in apparel manufacturing.
So I had a really interesting conversation with my grandmother. And my grandmother was born in 1927, Great Depression, in Wasco, California.
Where is Wasco? I heard of it.
It's kind of on the way to San Bernardino.
Okay.
So where everyone wants to live, isn't it?
Totally.
And my grandmother used to ask me, well, how are things going at work when I was still in the corporate world? And I would say, I'm really not happy there, I'm not fulfilled, I just really don't like it, I'm not happy. And she would say, well, you have a job. Mm-hmm. That's such a blessing. Mm-hmm. She's like, when I was your age, it was impossible for me to get work because I was a woman and a woman of color in the 1940s. Mm-hmm. And you have a job and you're able to be an equal player. And so I realized that every time I had this conversation with my grandma's generation, my aunts and uncles, or even my parents, it was kind of the same topic of discussion. It's like, you're so blessed to have a job, which I was, but I kind of wanted to know, well, what about the meaning in my life and my purpose, etc.
Yeah.
And so I shared this with you, and Felena, you came back and said, well, sometimes people are born in a culture and a time where money is scarce.
Yeah.
In the Great Depression, money truly was scarce. Now that's not the case.
Yes.
However, we still have this concept of there's not enough.
Yep.
I need more of it in order to survive.
Yep.
And so maybe you can share a little bit like what happens when you have that energy also with your business.
Yes.
I need to make money instead of I need to do my passion.
Yes, yeah. And I hear that phraseology a lot from our members, which is, I just want to make enough to get by. And this ties into the whole go big or go home mentality we have around here. You're absolutely right, Skylar. I mean, it is a mentality. And I share that a little bit in that I grew up, my dad and mom are both entrepreneurial, and my dad really never worked for anybody else his entire life. Even as a young kid, he was like mowing lawns and doing anything he could to make money. And we grew up really quite poor. I mean, for my dad's business, his floor covering business, I remember vividly as a kid push starting. We had to push start our truck because the starter was out or whatever it was on it. So I didn't grow up in some fancy, rich environment either, but just noting from a human behavior perspective, the way people respond to money. My mom is still very scarcity model, just across the board, so to speak. But really noting that and taking a reset. I'm not saying I've mastered it, but from the perspective of losing a fair amount of money, in a prior business venture, and a perspective of knowing that I'm smart enough or creative enough to figure it out and make money no matter what, and having that confidence in myself is really, really important to me. And that's what's allowed me, I think, really, truly to take some of those risks because I don't feel like money is scarce. I don't have that belief that I have to hang on to everything because I know I can figure it out. I know I can make money. And to tie into some of our other conversations, I know I don't need a brand new Mercedes every year. And I don't want a brand new Mercedes every year. And so to me, some of the other important things in life are experiences and who I surround myself with. And the dialogue that's had in my daily life is way more important to me than those things. And so not having an attachment to money, so to speak, knowing it's a means to the end, or at least I believe it is, really has freed me, I think, from worrying about it or obsessing about it.
I think that's a really great point too. I think with my own experience also, I mean, just as every other entrepreneur, some months are better than others, but I've never really been scared. What am I gonna do if I run out? And I think having that kind of, even that energy and that shift, it's not, I'm not operating my business from a place of fear. I'm operating it because it's what I love to do. Not because, what's gonna happen? What if I lose it all? And you just said, so then you'll get it back. Money comes, money goes. And I think that's such a really freeing and liberating idea instead of scrounging and hustling all the time. It's
Absolutely.
just money.
Exactly.
You
can make more.
Which is why we're here.